So I'm very grateful for having this opportunity to speak to all of you and serve all of you. Wonderful occasion of Shri Krishna Janmashtami coming up tomorrow. So I'll try to say something which will help us be very motivated to remember the Supreme Lord and to find ways of serving the Supreme Lord in many more enthusiastic forms or options. So I'll begin by first of all chanting prayers, and then I will speak something on Shri Krishna Leela. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So once again, we have this annual event wherein we remember the appearance day of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. So Shri Krishna Janmashtami Tithi is tomorrow. Wow. And we are very fortunate that in this human form of life, we have the opportunity to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to hear about the wonderful activities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. We also have the opportunity to hear about the glories of the Lord's holy names and have the facility to chant the holy names of the Lord. The scriptures, they help us understand how important it is to use every single opportunity that we have in being conscious of our position, our constitutional position as the eternal servants of Krishna. Every living entity is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. As servants or as living beings who find pleasure in rendering service, It is very fortunate when we have a conscious opportunity or a conscious facility to be happy by rendering service. Therefore, if we accept that constitutionally, we will be happy by being involved in service, then it becomes so very important to be grateful to the Supreme Lord that He has appeared in this material world in various forms and given us the facility to render service. Since the Supreme Lord is complete in all ways, Purnamadah Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate. Upanishads state that the Supreme Lord is so full and complete that any emanations from the Supreme Lord are also complete. And after the Lord has revealed those emanations, those expansions, the Supreme Lord is still full in Himself. That is how full and complete the Supreme Lord is. So, He is the perfect embodiment of that which can receive service. The Savior Bhagavan, the perfect embodiment of an object or an existence that can be served to one's heart's content. So, the appearance of the Supreme Lord in this material world is therefore very, very glorious. Indeed, very glorious. One is, the reasons for that is, one, that we get to hear of the object of our love, the object of our service. We get to hear about the form, the qualities, the activities of Savior Bhagavan. Second, we get to hear how the Supreme Lord gives pleasure to His devotees by accepting their service. And Krishna is so complete in receiving service and in reciprocating with the service of His devotees that the heart of the devotee is totally satisfied. There is complete satisfaction within the heart, and still there is the desire to serve more. If one, typically in this material world, if there is a desire for more, then that means there is something lacking. So there cannot be satisfaction. However, because the Supreme Lord is complete and perfect, hence His reciprocation with His devotee is so complete and perfect that the devotee is very, very satisfied and also desires more service. This is the Ananta nature or the unlimited nature of Krishna and Krishna's service. This is the Ananta aspect, the unlimited aspect of the living entity's ability to serve Krishna. So not only is Krishna unlimited in receiving service, the living entity also has unlimited ability to serve Krishna. And this strength or this opportunity to, or this ability to serve Krishna is also coming from Krishna. It is by Krishna's grace, his blessings, that we have that ability to serve him. Krishna says in the Gita, Balam balavatam chaham. I am the strength in man. I am the ability in man. Tejas tejasvinamaham. I am the opulence of the opulent. So philosophically, every day we become more and more humbled, thinking how much gratitude we are, thinking how fortunate we are that we can serve Krishna through our deeds, through our words, through our thoughts. Every single moment of our life, every day, we have such gratitude. And then when there are specific days, tithis, auspicious days, like Shri Krishna Janmashtami, the heart becomes more overwhelmed with affection, thinking that the Ananta Lord, the unlimited Lord, appears within this material creation, which is imbued with so many limited forms of material desires. Although material desires are unlimited, each form of material desire is limited by time. There is a beginning and an end. So within this world that has a beginning and an end, the beginless Lord, the Aja Lord, the unborn Lord appears. And so also appears his beautiful activities, his pastimes, his qualities, and his interactions with his devotees. Hence, when we read in the Bhagavad Gita that the activities and the appearance of the Supreme Lord are so glorious, that statement of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita has so much meaning in it. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvata. To know the divine nature of the Lord's appearance and his activities is very fulfilling to the heart. It is very fulfilling for the living entity. To be able to know the divine nature of the Lord's appearance and his activities. So, evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti mameti sochana, Krishna says. So, there are so many ways that one can try and relish the meaning of this verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti mameti sorjana. There's so many ways one can try and seek meaning every single day into this verse. And today also, we'll try and do that. In some limited capacity, we'll try and seek nourishment from this verse. So what is it about this glorious nature of Krishna's appearance and his activities? This can be understood better when we hear the description given through the lotus mouth of great personalities like Sukadeva Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami. Look, Shukdev Goswami has spoken so much about the Siddhanta, the philosophy of the absolute truth and the activities of the absolute truth. And all of his teachings or his speeches, they have been recorded in the form of the Puranas. And amongst the Purana, the Bhagavad Purana, or the Srimad Bhagavatam as we know it, is indeed glorious because it is called as Amala Puran. If someone is desirous of dedicating one's life completely to the absolute truth, without even a tinge of material distraction, then the apt Puran for that is the Bhagavad Puran or the Srimad Bhagavatam. And specifically the Srimad Bhagavatam describes devotional service in a very in a format where one can be unmotivated in one's service to Krishna, or one can be free from material motivation in one's service towards Krishna. That is how the Srimad Bhagavatam is designed, or that is how Shukdev Goswami, he spoke the topics, he spoke on the topics that are covered in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Shuka Vacha, through Shuka's mouth, through Shukdev Goswami's lotus mouth, we hear that which has been penned down in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the 10th canto, Shukadev Goswami is describing Krishna's childhood pastimes. And he says, Gopi bhi stobito nrityat Bhagavan balavat kvachit udgayati kvachan mugdhas tadvasho daru yantravat. He says tadvasho daru yantravat. Daru, just as sometimes Lord Jagannath is addressed as Daru Brahman. Daru means, in Sanskrit, one of the meanings of Daru is wood. Kashtha, not kashtha, but wood. Kashtha is dry wood. So Daru is wood, like the wood from a tree. So, since Lord Jagannath, his form is revealed from these divine trunks, tree trunks that had floated out, that were floating down the ocean. So he's called as Daru Brahman, the Supreme Lord in the form of a wood. Daru Yantravat. Yantravat, when we use this word in Sanskrit, it means mechanical. Like there is one process of yoga that is practiced in a very mechanical manner that is called as Ashtanga Yoga. So it is called as the yoga practice that is done yantravat, mechanically. It has a very a fixed routine, a stepwise routine. So that is called as yantravat, mechanical, in a very controlled way. So tad vasho daru yantravat, vashaha, tat vashaha. Vashaha means being controlled. Tat, by them. Tat, by that. So there is the meaning is that there is some entity by which some other entity gets controlled. Daru yantravat. And how is the control expressed? Just like a wooden doll. So yantravat means mechanical, which means that there is no independence. One is under the control of a system or under a control of some entity. So it is yantravat. Daru yantravat means this control is seen as if one has a wooden form. So the idea being conveyed is that generally, if there is a form which is made of wood and you can control it, then it means like a wooden doll. So just as a child or just as a being may interact with the wooden doll and make it behave according to one's desires and intent, similarly, tad vashaha. In a similar manner, this entity being controlled by another entity behaves. So who is this entity who is being controlled and which is the other entity that is making this entity behave in a particular way? So the controlling entity has been referred to by the word gopi bhihi, by the gopis. And tad vashaha nritya daru yantravat. The wooden doll is made to dance according to the desires of the gopi, being controlled by them. And who is the entity who is dancing like you would make a wooden doll dance, like a puppet dance? Bhagavan. So the gopis are making Bhagavan dance according to their tune. Why would, and what is Bhagavan? Bhagavan means who is full of all opulences at all times and complete in those opulences. So Bhagavan is one who is full and complete and does not lack anything. So why would this person dance? Mugdhas. Being amazed. The Lord is completely overwhelmed by the love of the gopis. Stobhitaha. They encourage him or they induce him in various ways. Anrityat. Krishna dances. Balavat kvachit. Just as an ordinary human child. And what would he do? Bhagavan Balavat kvachit udgayati kvachin muktas. Udgayati. He would sing. So sometimes they would ask him to sing, sometimes they would ask him or induce him to dance, and being completely overwhelmed by the affection that they have for him, the Supreme Lord, that the gopis had for him. The Supreme Lord dances or the Supreme Lord is behaving just as if a puppet behaves in the hands of a puppeteer. Shukdev Goswami, if we just read the translation as it is, the gopis would sometimes say, this is how Srila Prabhupada has translated it. The gopis would sometimes say, if you dance, my dear Krishna, then I shall give you half a sweetmeat. I shall give you a sandesh or a laddu. And by saying these words or by clapping their hands, the gopis would encourage Krishna in different ways. At some times, although he was the supremely powerful personality of Godhead, he would smile and dance according to their desire, as if he were a wooden doll in their hands. Sometimes he would sing very loudly at their bidding. In this way, Krishna came completely under the control of the gopis. And then Shukdev Goswami, in the next verse, he says, sometimes Mother Yashoda and her gopi friends would tell Krishna, bring this article or bring that article. Krishna, please get my dress. Krishna, can you get me my drinking cup? Krishna, could you please bring my knitting needles or the ball of wool? Krishna, could you please bring over that cow dung patty? Krishna, can you please bring some of that hay from the other room? Krishna, can you please bring a bowl, a small bowl? Sometimes they would order him to bring a wooden plank, sometimes wooden shoes, or a wooden measuring pot. And Krishna, Kanhaiya, Lord Shyamsundar, and thus ordered by the mothers. So he's a child, and every gopi is treating him as a baby. So he respects them in motherly affection. So this is paternal affection, Vatsalya Bhava. So when thus ordered by the mothers, he would try to bring them. Sometimes they would be too heavy for him to carry because he's a small child. So sometimes, as if unable to raise these things, he would touch them and stand there, just to invite the pleasure of his relatives. He would strike his body with his arms to show that he had sufficient strength. As Shukdev Goswami is narrating this, his audience is completely mesmerized. There is Vyasdev in the audience. There is Srila Narada Muni in the audience. There is Vasishtha. There is Atri. There are so many demigods. There are rishis from higher planetary systems that have come there. The Maharshis and the Devarshis. The saintly personalities from the heavenly planets. All of them are sitting, listening to Shukdev Maharaj describe Krishna's childhood pastimes. And all of them are completely in trance. One day, as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna hears somebody. He is inside his palace, Nanda Baba's palace, in the inner rooms. And through the open windows or through the open doorways, he hears a voice of a vendor. This is a fruit seller. and she is selling her fruits. She is wanting to sell her fruits. So in order to attract buyers, she is loudly shouting out the different kinds of fruits she has in her basket, which she is carrying on her head. This pastime has been described by Sukdev Goswami in a couple of verses. This pastime has been described in other Puranas, and in the writings of other saintly personalities too. According to some, Srila Prabhupada, he describes this pastime in the Krishna book too, in a little more elaborate way. He says that there was a lady from the tribal community. Basically, that means this community does not have so much exposure to the city or to townships, because tribal communities typically they live in remote areas. So she is from the tribal community, and they have access to so many resources. In remote areas, generally remote areas are covered over by forests. So they have access to the forest resources like fruits that grow in forests, berries, mangoes, jackfruits, coconuts. These fruit trees and fruits, they grow wild. Custard apple, etc. So she had brought these wares from the forest, and she was trying to sell them in the town of Vrindavan. There are others that describe this pastime saying that she would generally visit the city of Mathura. So she was a middle-aged lady, most probably. So she had spent quite some years trying to sell her wares, trying to sell her forest produce. So she would generally do that in the city of Mathura. Mathura was across the Yamuna. So the river Yamuna flows between Mathura and Gokul. So in Mathura, she got to hear about the sweet son of Nanda Baba. So 5,000 years ago, the son of Nanda Baba had become very famous on the social media platform of those times. And you know, in cities, people are very much on the social media platforms. So Mathura people, they had heard about the beautiful son of Nanda Baba. So she would hear from them. And over a few months of hearing, she had developed such an attraction for Krishna as everyone else, that as she was selling off her fruits by calling out their names, like, I have mangoes, please, you can buy mangoes from me, or I have oranges, you can buy oranges from me. So in Braj Bhasha, the language that is spoken in Vrindavan and surrounding areas, it is called as Braj Bhasha. She was calling out, mangoes le lo, oranges le lo. Obviously not oranges, but santra, like that. However, having been attracted to Krishna so deeply, she would unknowingly start calling out Krishna's names. So what she wanted to do was say, mangoes le lo, oranges le lo, and due to her deep affection for Krishna, it would sound something like this. Mangoes le lo, Nandalala le lo, Madhav le lo. So she was actually asking people to take Krishna. This is the beauty of being in Mathura or in a holy place. Just like, our temple at Scarborough, anyone who visits our temple gets an opportunity to hear to hear the holy names and to recite the holy names. It is as if we are also kind of, this is what is our merchandise, the holy names. And people come there and they get to look at this merchandise and take it away with them, the holy names. Hare Krishna, they take away the holy names with them. So this is what was happening to her. It came to the situation, it came to a particular state where she could no longer focus on selling fruits anymore. So one day, when it was too much for her, she crossed over the Yamuna, making some makeshift raft, and came to Gokul and started selling her fruits. So in Mathura, she would be going Govindalo or Lelo or Madhav Lelo. In Vrindavan, she started because she wanted to, now she was in the town of Gokul, Mahaval. So she was like, please take my fruits. So Krishna heard her voice. So he immediately ran outside. And she saw Krishna for the first time in her life. And it was as if her eyes were, they were submerged in waves of so much pleasure and happiness, wave after wave after wave. The form of Krishna had completely overwhelmed her senses. She couldn't speak anymore. She was stunned just seeing Krishna. Some of those descriptions say that when she came to Gokul Mahavan, she was just calling out about her, taking the names of those fruits, but she was not going anywhere else except the front door of Nanda Baba's palace. That is all. She was roaming up and down, hoping that Krishna would come up. So she spent some time there. It was like she was doing her sadhana. She was like chanting her 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra, something like that. And Krishna comes out. Krishna has seen his mother and other ladies deal with merchants or with people who come to sell their products, especially ladies who come with baskets on their head. So he comes out. And as soon as now the Srimad Bhagavatam describes that he comes out with grains in his tiny little palms, his hands. And those grains are slipping, some of those grains are slipping through the gap in his fingers, because a child's fingers do not have so much strength. So a child's fist is not so tight. So there is some space, some gap in between the fingers. So that is how Shukdev Goswami describes. Srila Prabhupada in the Krishna book describes that Krishna comes up. He sees the vegetable seller. He realizes that he must purchase some of the vegetables. So he goes and comes out with a fistful of grains, and some of those grains are falling through the gaps in his fingers. Others, they describe that when baby Krishna comes out, the vegetable seller is so stunned that she is as if turned to stone. And she just keeps looking at Krishna. And he encourages her. Krishna looks at her and she says, Kaki, what do you have? Kaki is like mother or aunt. So what do you have? What have you got for me? And then when she hears Krishna addressing her, she breaks out of that deep immersion. She comes out of it. And she immediately puts a basket down. And she says, I have these fruits and I'm selling them, and I'm selling these fruits. And Krishna says, all right, let me go and get some money. Or let me bring some grains. That is what Krishna was thinking, so that I can pay you with those grains. I can barter those grains for your fruits. So by the time he arrives, there's only a few grains still remaining, and it's like maybe 10, 15 rice grains, or unshaved rice grains in his hands. And he offers that to the fruit seller. So the fruit seller accepts that. She's completely charmed over by Krishna. She accepts it. And in return, she empties an entire basket. Baby Krishna tries his best to bring those fruits in. Now, one of the speakers of this pastimes, one of the Iskcon sannyasis, when he was describing this pastime, he described that Krishna would carry the fruits in, and the baby seller, and the fruit seller, not the baby seller, I'm so sorry, the fruit seller would run off to her warehouse and bring more fruits. And then Krishna would come out, and you'd see that she had more fruits. So he would go in and bring more grains. So Krishna had to make a few trips. And then Krishna went inside to Mother Yashoda and he said, see what I've got? And he showed her all the fruits. And when Mother Yashoda asked him, he described how he had been, he had so intelligently made this transaction. And everyone was everyone was floating in these waves of happiness, transcendental happiness. Mother Yashoda felt so proud that my little baby, he has done his first barter. And then Krishna said, please distribute these fruits to everyone. I have so many fruits. And this shows that how Krishna wants everyone to have these fruits from him. Now we can take some philosophical lessons from this. Now there are other narrators who describe that the lady, after Krishna has taken the fruits from her basket is empty. So, but she is completely full. Her heart is full. She has just seen Krishna, and she has given Krishna everything that she has. So now her life is like filled with divine happiness. So she is totally satisfied. And she's trying to head back home, and she has to cross the Yamuna. Now, there are others who have described this pastime that she goes back home to her tribal community. Either ways, when she reaches her destination, that is when she realizes that the basket in her head feels very heavy, more heavy than when it was filled up with fruits. So that is when she's concerned. What is there in my basket? What she had done was, unconsciously, she had let Krishna drop the few grains that he had in his palms, his tiny palms, into the empty basket while the trade was happening. So when she has reached, if we accept one of the narrations where she reaches the Yamuna, or if we accept the other narration where she reaches her home in a tribal community, when she reaches her destination, she puts down her basket. She takes it off her head and puts it down. And she sees her basket filled with jewels, the precious, filled with precious stones, and you name it, her entire basket. And she's like, what is this? And then she, because she has broken out of her stupor, her divine stupor, and she sees her basket filled up with these precious gems, she empties that basket. Some say that she empties it, according to one narration, she empties it on the banks of the Yamuna. So some of you, if you want to, when you visit Yamuna the next time, you can go and do some searching there. Maybe some of those jewels are still there, those jewels and those precious stones. She empties it in the near the banks of the Yamuna. The other narration states that she empties it at her house, and she fills up her basket again. In the narration where she is at the Yamuna, she goes back to her house, comes back with a basket filled because she wants to give more fruits to Krishna. And she has no idea where she has dumped all of those precious jewels. So this is what happens to a devotee. Coming to some philosophical lessons. First of all, the fruits are the fruits of her labor, her karma and karma phal. The activities of her life and the reactions to the activities of her life. Somehow or the other, she becomes attracted to Krishna. Somehow or the other, she comes in contact with Krishna. So when a devotee, when we have this burden, or when we are carrying the weight of these fruits of our labor from this lifetime or previous lifetimes, when we come in touch with Krishna, through conscious hearing of him and consciously developing attraction to him, or just we happen to meet up with Krishna because of our some blessings that we have received, we meet Krishna. Then we have an opportunity to offer all of those fruits, to offer all of those desires of so many lifetimes that we have, whether they are material, whether they are non-material. We have an opportunity to offer all of that unto Krishna's lotus feet. Tat kurushva madarpanam. Yat karoshi, yat ashnashi, yat juhoshi. We can offer all of that to Krishna. And in return, Krishna gives his blessings, the grains of his blessings. Maybe sometimes those grains get transformed into the most precious forms of happiness in this material world. Maybe those grains get transformed into pleasure of divine happiness. They get transformed into the jewels of divine happiness too. However, a devotee's satisfaction, bhakti, devotional service, or a bhakta, a devotee's heart, is always hankering for more service. So devotee empties one's heart of all the divine pleasure that one is receiving and fills it up again with the fruits of one's labor, the fruits of one's service, and makes an offering unto Krishna. So filling up one's basket, filling up one's life, whether it is with desires, with activities, or the fruits or the results of those activities in any form, fill it up, and we offer it at Krishna's lotus feet. In return, not only do we get divine pleasure, but we get an opportunity to again render service to Krishna by filling up our basket again. We put aside the pleasure that we get. Why? Because a devotee is anxious to serve Krishna more. A devotee's need and anxiety is to see that Krishna is happy. And Krishna's need and anxiety is to make his devotee happy. And this is the wonderful world of Krishna consciousness. This is how Krishna reciprocates. And this is how a devotee reciprocates with Krishna. Now, it's so wonderful to hear of this, it is so wonderful when we hear the descriptions of such transcendental dealings. To be able to participate in these transcendental dealings, we still have to go through the purificatory process of sadhana bhakti. We have to undergo purification by following the norms, the rules and regulations of sadhana bhakti. Devotional service in practice. We have to be careful that the material mind does not lead us down the path of distraction, shape distractions. How is it that the material mind becomes successful in leading us down that path? Because the material mind is still, it is stained with anarthas, obstacles in the form of material desires. So because these obstacles are there, when we trip on these obstacles, then we roll down the path of material distractions. So we have to be careful of this mind, which is like a troublesome spirit, a troublesome genie. So now I'll tell you the story. I want to tell you a story of a genie. A man found a genie. Opened up a bottled, a corked bottle, a bottle with a cork on it. So he removed the cork, unplugged the bottle, and out came a genie. The genie said, "Oh, you released me, so you are my master. I'm your servant. I'm very powerful. I can fulfill all of your desires. However, I cannot stay inactive. So if you do not give me any purpose to fulfill, if you do not give me a job, then I will eat you up." The person was very thrifty, was very, very creative. So he was convinced that he could handle the genie. He or she, the person, was convinced that one could handle the genie. So gave so many tasks to the genie, right from palaces to space trip to Mars, all these things that we want to do, scuba diving, everything. And all of those facilities, along with the pleasure therein, would be had immediately by this person. So the person, one final day, did not have any more tasks. to give to the genie. When we try to fulfill the desires that the material mind brings in front of us, at one point of time we are so exhausted, but the mind is not exhausted. The mind still has so many tasks to be done. The mind still needs activity. The mind is still active. We are exhausted. We tell the mind, now stop. I can no longer function trying to achieve all of these, all of the forms of pleasure that you're putting in front of me. Stop. One gets tired. However, the mind is never tired. The mind needs activity. And if we are tired and we do not give the mind activity, we do not engage the mind in something fruitful, then the mind makes us go crazy. It completely devours our existence. It is as if the genie eating up that person. So the person becomes very anxious. What should I do now with this genie? How do I handle this genie, the spirit? Fortunately for him, meets a saint, a saintly personality. Asks the saint for advice, and the saint tells him, don't worry. Ask the genie to get a 12 feet long bamboo stick, a bamboo shoot, and make the genie fix that shoot in your front yard, upright. Fix it like a pole, a bamboo pole. And whenever you don't have any more tasks for the genie, tell the genie to go up and down this pole. In sadhana bhakti, practitioner and devotional service applies this principle to the mind. The mind is always active, even if we get exhausted. Even if we no longer have, any tasks to perform. We just want to sleep, but the mind is active. We just want to rest, but the mind is active. Unlimited desires within the mind. So what should a sadhaka do? What should a practitioner do? Whenever there are certain tasks to be performed in the material world, from our bodily requirements to the requirements of family, requirements of the state or community, all those kind of those responsibilities. We should make the mind help us find ways to fulfill our responsibilities in a Krishna conscious manner. That is what we should make the mind do. Tell the mind, the genie, the mind which is like a genie, perform this responsibility in a Krishna conscious manner so that I remember Krishna and the environment in which I render service becomes Krishna conscious as much as possible. So the mind will try to do that. And then when we are exhausted physically, mentally, emotionally, we are exhausted, then our only hope for the mind is, for the active mind is to make the mind chant Hare Krishna. The only way we can make the mind chant Hare Krishna with every breath. We inhale and we exhale. Exhale, inhale. It is like our breathing is like a bamboo pole. For exhalation, you go up. For inhalation, it goes down. So imagine it in that way. The mind has to go up and down this pole, fixed on the remembrance of the holy names or chanting the holy names of the Lord. So with every exhalation, every inhalation, if we can remember to chant Hare Krishna, even if there is no active responsibility in terms of towards our own body needs, bodily needs, towards the needs of our families, towards the needs of society and community, etc. Even if there are no such responsibilities to be done through this material form, the mind can be engaged in chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And one day, we'll also be able to come to a platform where the material form dissolves, material existence dissolves, and all that remains is every single moment of time till the end of eternal time. We are participating in the beautiful pastimes of Krishna as a servant of Krishna. We are there as a participant in Krishna's eternal pastimes, because now the material form is dissolved and all that remains of us is our spiritual existence. So Krishna's pastimes are so divine to meditate on in our conditioned state, to participate in using whatever material facilities we have, and ultimately to be a part of in our liberated state of existence. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma nayati mamiti sorjun. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Maha Mahotsav ki jai. Are there any
Thank you, Prabhu.
comments?
Thank you, Prabhu, for a wonderful class again today. You nicely said that Supreme Lord is complete. And you gave the nice example of fruit seller. And mind is like genie. Wonderful. Prabhu, remember one sloka from Bhagavatam 6.2.19, where it says that if a person unaware of the effective potency of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, still they can be benefited from chanting. Could you please explain a little bit more of this one? Like someone is chanting not knowing that what is the effectiveness of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Like someone is saying like that. They are saying that this guy is Hare Krishna guy. So he's saying this guy is walking with Hare Krishna guy. And they are doing Hare Krishna movement. Is there any benefit of saying this unknowingly?
Okay. Thank you for asking. This, I think, is from the prasanga or the narration of Ajamil, 6th canto, I think. So it should be Ajamil's
Yes.
pastime.
Yes, Prabhu.
Pastime of Ajamil being
Yeah.
addressed or he was being taken away by the Yamadutas, and then the Vishnudutas come because he chanted Lord Narayan's names. And it is said that he did it unknowingly or without unintentionally. We could say unintentionally is the right word. So still the Vishnudutas arrived there. So the 6th canto, specifically this pastime, this narration, this prasanga, it gives us this opportunity to understand the potency of the Lord's holy names. And that is what is also being addressed here. In your question also, inherently, the idea is that the Lord's names are so potent that even if one chants unknowingly, one gets benefit. There is some good benefit. It is very effective. Even unknowing or unintentional chanting of the holy names. How is that? Let me give a material example, and then we can try and relate that to the Lord's holy names. In the present times, people with different nationalities, they may be visiting countries which are foreign to the nationality. So they are in a foreign country. And if there is any difficulty in that country and they need help, especially if there is some calamity in that country and they need help, all they need to do is contact the embassy of their resident country and show their passport and say, I am such and such citizen. Like if one is from India, then one says that I am an Indian citizen and one gives proof. So we see a country, a tract of land that is addressed by a name, India. That name has a certain power that can be accessed by a person in certain situations. You know, like in this foreign country, all that I need to say is that I'm Indian, and the embassy of India will give me all benefit. It will give me protection. So that is what is the understanding of the power of a name. Another material example I'll give. Let us say that I'm traveling as the messenger of the President of India, or a king, and I'm in some difficulty. If I say I am XYZ, then people may know me or they may not know me. But if I take the name of the president of the country or the king of the country, then the government officials there immediately they will try to verify it and help me out. Just because I am taking the name of the king. So people may not know me if I'm carrying the letter of the king, or if I say that I'm a messenger of the king. So just the name, the king's name, let's say the king's name is Ramachandra. You know, let's say the king's name is Ramachandra. So I say that I'm a messenger of King Ramachandra. If I say I'm the messenger of King XYZ and nobody knows XYZ, there's no, I mean, I do not get much benefit. But if I take the name of the king who's powerful, Ramachandra, then immediately the government machinery there, or people who respect the king and honor the king, they will help me out. So considering these two examples, first is of the country and second is of the person, let us try and apply it to the situation of Ajamil. So Ajamil unintentionally took the called out to his son, whose name was Narayan. So he called out what he spoke was Narayan. So the name Narayan is not just a person Narayan, but it also represents the spiritual world, because spiritual world is Narayana Loka, the land of Narayan. So in this material world, those who understand the potency of Narayan Loka, or those who are government officials of Narayan Loka or connected to Narayan Loka, or those who can access this material world from wherever they are, because they are officials of Narayan Loka, the land of Lord Narayan, the land of Lord Krishna. Those people will immediately take note of it. The Vishnu Dutas are powerful agents of Lord Krishna. And whenever the name of Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna is taken, the Vishnu Dutas have access to that realm where the names of Lord Narayan are taken. And whatever is needed in terms of help, they immediately offer it to that person who has taken the name of their king. Now, if we want to go deeper, have a deeper understanding of the holy names, then we may have to seek reference from other narrations too. Here in this narration of Ajamil, the Vishnudutas came to save him. Now, there are pastimes, like in Draupadi's case, she called out intentionally. We are not speaking of unintentional now. We are speaking of intentional chanting, just to understand what is the potency of the holy names. She called out to Krishna as Govinda, and Krishna appeared in the form of saris for her. Gajendra the elephant called out to Krishna through so many wonderful descriptions of Krishna's qualities, which are actually his holy names. And Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu appeared personally to Gajendra's eyes, in front of Gajendra's eyes. He personally appeared mounted on Garuda in his eight-handed form. He appeared there and Gajendra saw him. So when Gajendra did it intentionally. So what we are saying is that the holy names are so potent. Unintentional or intentional chanting gives us the help that we need. And sometimes it offers us help beyond what we need. If we are intelligent enough to take that help, then it benefits us. So this is what is being stated here. When we even unknowingly chant the holy names of the Lord, there is all auspiciousness. Now that auspiciousness will be in reciprocation to, or will be commensurate to, or will be as much as the need that we feel. Ajamil's need was that he wanted to be free from the Yamadutas because he was very scared of them. And that is what he got. The Vishnudutas came and freed him from the clutches of Yamadutas. Draupadi's need was that she had to protect herself, and Krishna appeared in the form of saris. Gajendra's need was that he wanted to be free from the crocodile, which was death personified for him. And the Lord Ajita appeared to him. And reciprocated with him. So auspiciousness arrives in the lives of those personalities that intentionally or unintentionally chant the holy names of the Lord. That auspiciousness is in the form of, or it is reciprocal to our need. Hopefully, many of us will have purified our intelligence to a state where when we intentionally take Krishna's holy names, our need is that we want to serve Krishna eternally. Hopefully, if we have that kind of need, then the reciprocation will be accordingly. Is that all right?
That's wonderful, Prabhu. Nicely explained to us. Thank you very much. This answer helps us to understand how potent Harinam or Krishna's name is. Thank you, Prabhu. And it's late in India now. Thank you for your valuable time, and I would like to thank all of the devotees who are attending these classes every Sunday, especially when we are going through the fourth wave of COVID-19. If anyone has any question, you can ask. I think one question Prabhu can take. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Sure.
One more question.
Yes.
Anyone wants to ask a question? I think Prabhu wants to ask something. You can ask in Bengali. Aparna Mataji, I think you want to ask some question. One question, please go ahead. You have to unmute yourself, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
আচ্ছা বাংলায় বলবো?
Yes, বলুন, that's fine. I will translate.
ঠিক আছে মাতাজি।
আমি বলতে পারি তাহলে প্লিজ।
Okay, sure.
Should I have to wear pillow all the time to visible?
It is always helpful to do that. It depends upon your convenience, if you can do it or not. The reason it is helpful is it puts us in a position where others know that we are practitioners. So they kind of see to it that we can be comfortable practicing Krishna consciousness. So they know that, oh, this is a person who is dedicated to Lord Krishna. So they accordingly, they always make it convenient for us to remember that we are Krishna's devotee. And whenever we look at ourselves in the mirror, then we remember that, oh, this is who I am. So because externals matter to us very much, how we look has an effect on our consciousness. It is helpful for us to always have tilak. However, according to whether it is convenient or not, accordingly, we may want to have the tilak on our forehead as and when possible.
But if I do it water one, if I do the water tilak, like, and if I don't do it, is it kind of sin, or is it sin, or?
If we are knowingly,
I do water tilak. I do water tilak.
Wonderful. Yes, we can apply tilak with different materials. We can apply tilak with chandan. We can do it with mud. We can do it with paint if you want. Some people tattoo tilak permanently, or with water. Every time we are applying fresh tilak, whether it is with water, with paint, or a fresh tattoo, whatever it is, we should try and chant mantras. If we don't remember and mantras for the tilak, we should just chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So that is important.
I know that.
Is it a sin?
I know tilak mantra, but I do the water one.
Yeah, that is perfectly all right. Is it a sin if you don't do it? When we try to avoid something knowingly, then that means consciously we are doing it. So anything that is consciously done, if it is a good thing, it is considered to be punya. If it is wrong, if it is not healthy, it is considered to be pap. So consciously any activity, if it is done, a good activity done consciously is punya, it is piety. An activity that is supposed to be done but is consciously not done, then we are avoiding piety. We are not bringing auspicious into our life. So it becomes inauspicious. Is that helpful?
So water tilak also okay? Water tilak is also okay?
Oh yes. Tilak is an external form of a dedication. The internal meditation and putting on tilak is the holy names. Hence, mantra, the holy names or the mantra should always be chanted or putting on tilak. Mantra means.
I do mantra and I do the water tilak.
Yes.
Okay, Prabhu?
Yes. So mantra is important.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat. Any other questions or comments?
So there are so many comments appreciating your class. So that's always we get.
Thank you.
And you're very welcome, Prabhu. Thank you for your valuable time. I know it's late there in India. And
I'm in the US. I'm in the US
and
too.
everyone.
I'm not in India right now.
It's in the UK, the USA.
Oh, you're not in India, you're in US.
I'm in the
UK.
USA. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Thank you, bro. That's nice. That's relieves us. I was thinking that it's late in India. I think Rohinipriya Prabhu wants to say something. He actually attended one live television program yesterday. It's called NRB TV on behalf of Iskcon Scarborough. He performed a wonderful kirtan last night, and also a wonderful task. Rohinipriya Prabhu, do you want to say something about that?
It is very kind of you, Prabhu, that
Prabhu.
yeah, it is very kind of you that you organize this program, and also, you know, you are just engaging yourself, for this program today, Scarborough Temple, Iskcon Scarborough. Morning, engaging all of us in the service of the Lord is very nice, and also it's a great thanks, Prabhu, for His grace, Prabhu, for doing this wonderful lecture. Now it's amazing, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, that's what I say. On the behalf of Iskcon Scarborough, we have to thank you.
Hare Krishna, Janmashtami Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we can see you only on the Zooming, but I hope that we will see you very soon. Yes, personally.
Krishna willing, yes. Or you can come over to the US if it is allowed.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
So should we stop here? Amal Thakur Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. I think we are having a little bit audio problem, maybe from my side for the internet connection. So I would like to thank Rohinipriya Prabhu for your valuable time and another wonderful class to enlighten us on the eve of Janmashtami. Thanks all the devotees. Please take care and stay safe. And we'd like to thank Rohinipriya Prabhu again, and we would like to see him in person at Iskcon Scarborough. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Very good.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.